Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Deadlock. Today I've got a pretty big one. We're going to be doing one or multiple relevant important tips for every character to do with their key abilities or items to do with them or how they can interact with objectives. All of it as useful as possible, but as quick as possible. Starting here with Abrams, who I'm going to give you a couple of because, you know, a lot of his is to do with punching. If you do punching in general on a punch character like Abrams, you can be very obvious with the punches and get parried very easily. So one of the best things you can do early in a game is do an obvious punch and then kind of pull it. If they're going to parry me, I can test. So for this initial test, all I'm going to do is get right up on them, punch, and then just turn it. And if they parried, I can see what kind of player they are. If they just didn't parry a really obvious punch, I know I can go to town on them, and that's really useful information, whatever character I'm playing. But for a tip to help with this on Abrams specifically, if you use his first ability, Siphon Life, during a punch, you can actually delay it. So as I go for the punch, I press Siphon Life, and then the punch comes out. It's quite a noticeable delay on the punch itself, and there are many active items that Abrams can use to have the same effect as Siphon Life. So you can really mess with people in mid and late game, especially when you get some actives going. Next up then we have Bbop. There's a bunch I could suggest for this one, but for the one that I find most impactful in my games when I'm under a tower or playing with a Bbop is bombing and punching a bomb forward. The thing is, obviously you can place bombs on enemy minions and that's fine, but what you can actually do is place a bomb on your ally and then punch them, sending the bomb forward that can explode in the air like so, or you can do it early to harass them and create an area where they're going to try to avoid it. This can force them in specific directions. Say one of them's hiding on the left by a shop or something, I can place it in one of the minions and send it straight at them, even if they're hiding behind cover. Well timed, it'll explode in the air like I showed, and that can be devastating. Next up then we have Dynamo. As you likely know, his second ability, Quantum Entanglement, gives himself iframes and a little movement ability essentially to avoid attacks. So here's my little friendly reminder about that ability. It can help allies. So if you press it, you can press the button here in the middle, for me it's mouse 3, and then we bring allies with us. That's iframe periods. Use the same concept with Viscous and Cube on allies when they're being ultied or destroyed. Why not do the same on Dynamo? So here's a little tip to do with Singularity, the ultimate. Basically it has momentum, so if you fly yourself forward and move, it drags them with you. So if you use momentum, you can indeed drag them along with you, even from the railway, creating pretty big opportunities for AoE and dragging them into your team and that kind of thing. Next up, a quick one for Grey Talon. Basically, your second ability leaps you up into the air and then you hang in the air. But while you're flying up into the air, you actually have quite a lot of momentum. So let's say you cancel that while flying and you can throw yourself, essentially slingshotting yourself around. Why this might be something you intentionally do is because you're trying to escape and get quick movement to get out of the situation rather than getting stuck in the air. You can't do normal aerial movement when you're floating and in the air in general. So by cancelling it, you get that movement straight back, and it can be a way to escape or chase someone down. Okay, for our next character then, we're obviously in-game on Haze to show you another one to do with the urn. Like most characters in the urn, if you press a button or an item that gives you a buff before picking it up, you can then transport it with that buff. So with Haze, obviously it's pretty important. You have Smoke Bomb, which gives you extra movement speed while you're invisible. So you press it, then you walk up and pick it up. I have the Smoke Bomb buff on me, so I've got that movement speed while I'm carrying it. Obviously it's not going to last very long when I've got no items and no upgrades right now, but it's giving me that big movement speed to get towards mid. It should get you at least to mid very, very quickly, and then we can do the last little bit of the transportation. In general, Haze is a really good urn runner because she's super fast out of combat, and then obviously Smoke Bomb, if you get caught, you drop the urn and all that. So that's Haze. Let's go to the next character. Next up then we have Infernus and a couple of tips to do with his flame dash. Now it's very likely you know that you can use your abilities while dashing, such as your ult or your basic, to apply that or do some clever engages. But did you know you actively reload while dashing? So if I just empty my mag real quick, like so, I'm reloading, I'm dashing. While I'm dashing, that reload is still going. So I come out fully reloaded. The combination of your abilities then is very important for a character like this. For our next character then, we have Ivy, and we have another one to do with the urn because Ivy has one of the best transportation moves for the urn transportation in the game. You can do it in two ways. You could do it to transport the urn yourself, or I think better, you transport someone else using the urn. Essentially what you're doing is letting them pick up the urn, then you're using your ult on them to pick them up, and then boosting across the map. You can get them the whole way in one flight if you fling them at the end there, which is insane distance in such a short time with the urn. Why I prefer picking someone else up though just comes down to the fact that if something goes wrong, you can fling them to safety or throw them in for an engage maybe. Next up then, here's the quick one for Kelvin. Your dome, the frozen shelter, actually goes through walls, all terrain in fact. It's quite strange. So if I press it on the other side of this wall, we can come around here and see that it's reaching all the way around this corner. This is most relevant in tight spaces then, such as the undergrounds or the subway, where even from above, you can block entrances off and lock people in places so they can't escape or chase you. And if you happen to not know, you can also use your ice path to go up to someone that's flying and dome them. This creates a space in the air that they'll fall to the center of, making them a really easy target. But yes, it takes up a physical space in quite a few ways. Next then, that brings us to Lady Geist, and I'll give you a couple for these. There's a few clever tricks to timing your abilities. In lane, I like the one where we throw the bomb. During the laning phase, it's incredibly common that players will walk up and try to melee to last it, to deny you from actually being able to deny them. But that's really obvious. You can just place the bomb on the minion, and as they go in to punch it, they're going to be stuck in that bomb, and it makes it already an easy to hit ability, guaranteed, and obviously it's massive damage in the laning phase, so it's a great little trick to do. But as another little tip, do remember that with the swap, you could intentionally bait low health. There are enemies like, Seven or Haze that do longer channeled ults. You can intentionally stand in them and then swap them and kill them in a very quick way. Guys, it's definitely a lot about mind games. Next up then, we have Lash and his ground strike first ability. When you upgrade this ability to its second level, you can see that struck enemies are popped up into the air and slowed by 50% for 3 seconds. The tip for this one then is to do with that ground pound knock up. It basically gives you guaranteed punch time because they're stuck in the spot. In the case of multiple enemies there as I hit them with a punch, this is incredible DPS. This is one of the biggest tricks that I make use of in the laning phase. Punches do incredible damage early game, so if you can ever secure a free punch with this knockup for example, it's super effective to do so. Knocking 2 up and getting a double punch is pretty much GG. But try not to forget that height has a huge impact on the output, the damage that you get with this ground pound. So climbing up on rooftops and looking for engages this way rather than just relying on your second ability grapple. It can set up great opportunities for being above for all or just a really heavy ground pound for some significant damage increase. Oh, and also in the recent patch, you can now use ground pound and turn it almost 180, making it significantly easier to land it. Moving on, we now have McGinnis, and this is to do with the second ability combined with the first. So you've turrets and your little healing vial. Basically before it's upgraded, it's just a heal, and it's a good heal at that. But when you spend 1 point onto it, you get a 35% fire rate on units being healed by it. This works on allies, which is an important thing to know, right? But it also works on your own turrets. So if you stack a few up while you're going for a fight, maybe you're working on a walker, placing it down gives them that attack boost, and it's a massive boost to their output. You definitely want the turrets to be in that if you can. Our next character then is Mo and Krill, and it's a simple but important tip. With the recent patch, they've made it so you can actually use his first ability during the ultimate, but it also works during your burrow as well. So you just burrow underground and press Scorn, and it AoEs around you while you're underground as an effective way to double up. But again, this works during your ultimate now, increasing the DPS that you have during that burst window, just leading to a bit more potential in these key moments to stack up your abilities. Next up, we have Paradox, and one that's pretty crazy specifically for this character. Ethereal Shift is a 3k spirit item. When you press it, you go immune and you can cancel it by pressing space. Cool. Now, one of the biggest things of this character is swapping with the enemy. The bread and butter combo is to use your kinetic carbine, you shoot someone that stuns them, and then that allows you to secure that hit even at long range. But the problem is that it's swapping you. So as you pick someone to start a team fight or catch someone out, you put yourself in a bad position. So obviously we're using Warp Stone to get out and other options. But if you press Ethereal Shift while the projectile's flying, you can protect yourself. You teleport while in the shift. So I send the projectile, I press it, we don't move, and then suddenly I'm there in the shift, cancel it, get out. It basically gives you that protection on your landing location. If you're facing CC heavy teams, I actually think this is a really good strat. Next up, we have one of my favorite heroes, and there's so much I could talk about with this character. Pocket has a lot of really cool stuff. For example, you can imagine his left arm as a separate character and his right arm as a separate character. This allows him to do loads of reload tricks. So if I want to instantly reload, I start the reload animation, then I press my third ability, Satchel, and come out instantly fully reloaded. Great for when I'm focusing down a tower or looking for that kind of burst. But it also works while you're using your first ability, the Barrage. So as I begin my reload, I fire my barrage, and you see I'm reloading at the same time. But here's a little bonus for you. Barrage holds your momentum that you currently have. So if you do a classic of a dash jump, you can actually fly at targets. And this is great in an early game fight. So I dash jump, fly forward, holding that momentum. This is level 1, no items, massive mobility. Combine that with a core item like Majestic Leap though, and that's where it gets incredible. I send myself up, I send myself down, and then I jump. So you want to jump as you begin sending yourself down to give yourself maximum horizontal momentum. And then you maintain that momentum by activating Barrage. So we go up, we go down, we jump, we press Barrage, and we fly forward. This is amazing for getting around the map, even if you're not even barraging anyone, but a great way to open a fight, get your stacks, and start a team fight right. Alright, here's just a quick one for 7 and his pretty standard combo of Unstoppable and his ultimate. They've changed it so you can now use your ultimate and then press Unstoppable mid-ultimate, allowing us to guarantee get the brunt of this off, although as you can see, Unstoppable lasts a lot less time than Stormcloud can when fully upgraded and even itemized for. So you want to make sure you press Unstoppable maybe like 1 second into the ult. They'll see you ulting, they'll react, then they'll start throwing their stuns, and that's when you put Unstoppable on, right before that moment. It basically means you don't have to waste a lot of Unstoppable before the ult even begins. Let me show you what I mean. I press Unstoppable, I double jump, I press it. I've already lost 25% of the effect of Unstoppable. It's just the worst way to do it. So definitely use Unstoppable mid-channel when you're already going. Next up then we have Shiv and his very impactful ultimate, maybe you're saving too long. It does really high damage even when it's not fully upgraded. Obviously when it is fully upgraded, when you kill someone with it, when you execute, it resets the cooldown. But that's not until mid towards late game that you'll actually have that. So using the massive jump of the ultimate to get on someone and then actually kill them is worth doing. But did you know that it can also be a great way to reach those aerial targets like, great Talon, like Vindicta. This places you up in the air to shoot them or hit them, or instantly combo with your 2, you dash forward for maximum damage. It allows you to actually hit the 2 while you're in the air. And as you can see on the second example, when I built up Rage, it hits with the Mimic or the Echo. So yeah, ult to the target, smash them. Only save ult for executing when you've fully upgraded it. Next up then we have Vindicta. Just like Great Talon, they have a flight ability that throws them up in the air, then you hang in the air. In the recent patch, they gave them the ability to actually dash while mid-air, which is really nice. So there is better movement while you're in the air for this character as of late. But, you know, just like Great Talon, that doesn't mean you can't use the ability to escape and move quickly away. Say I need to get out of there, climb a roof, just avoid a gank, I can press it, use the momentum that throws me forward, and cancel early. This is even better for a character like Vindicta because she has that kind of fling forward momentum where I throw myself forward, then I cancel it and dash and get out of there, you know, going quite a distance by pressing it and cancelling it early. As a bonus tip though, here's how I pretty much snipe all the time. I'm aiming, I'm shooting, and I'm fighting, and then I press my ult and immediately click. It goes where I'm clicking instantly. That's how I secure most of my hits and kills with it. Obviously, if I press it, you channel for like a second and now it deals more damage, but that takes a lot of time and they can see a white line saying, hey, she's aiming this way. Whereas I find that just doing this is so much faster to actually accurately land it, and you basically give them no time to react, essentially. Almost at the end now, we have Viscous up next. When you fully upgrade Goo Ball, his ultimate, you can cast abilities and use items while rolling. And so a bread and butter combo is to use your punch while you're rolling to engage or escape. So there's 2 phases to this one. Firstly, your punch, if you're trying to use this momentum for yourself or an ally or something, know that you need to join the momentum rather than go against it. So if I were to say double jump and then punch, I'm going down in the air, then I'm punching myself back up, not really getting myself much height. I'm going against the momentum. But let's say I put the punch and then jump, so I'm going up and then the punch pushes me further up, you go a lot higher. As you can see, I flew significantly higher. So again, the idea is to use the momentum at the same time. We're using the ball, we're going forward, then we place the fist and we jump and then we fling ourselves with the combined movement. Let's say I jump and now I'm falling down, I use the punch, I go so much less far and so much less higher. So all you have to do is begin a jump and then punch yourself up. And in the ball form particularly, you'll fly forward, escaping situations where you're about to die, or maybe throw yourself into a team fight. Our next character then is Warden, and he recently got this buff to the ultimate. It's insane. 50% bullet resist while you're doing the charge up period of his ultimate. This means it can be used as an insanely effective way to mitigate any fed carry doing primarily bullet damage. Imagine Wraith, Haze. Haze mid ult in fact is the perfect example. Haze jumps in with ult and then you counter with yours, essentially mitigating half of its damage. Then obviously once you've survived, your Warden ult is now active, so you can absolutely devastate her. And that's a really easy example. If you see Wraith coming in for you, you can do the same thing. Or yeah, anyone doing lots of bullet damage. Next up then we have Wraith, and how her card trick works is a little bit strange. Throw a card that flies towards the enemy or point under your crosshair. So if I aim at an enemy, it's just going to go straight towards them, and we can see that it gives me a little UI thing to say, hey, you're hitting a target with that. But you can really send this thing far and keep it going by using the cursor. So as I throw this next one, I'm going to use the cursor and have it spin, and you see how much longer it's actually in the air. So kind of a weird tip for this one is that you can delay the card being in the air, delay it so it hits the target after they're done rolling around and trying to dodge it. So if I want to hit Infernus, I can just throw it at him, send it spiraling, and then slam it down on him after he's done dodging around. Last up then we have Yamato. I play quite a lot of her, so I could give you a lot, but I'll just give you a couple quick ones. Instead of using power slash stood still, which is terrible, you always want to do some kind of dash or movement while you're going. So if I just do a dash one, you see that I slide forward, getting me in range to actually hit them. It also works mid-air, holding me in the air. So you could get above them, climb something, mantle something, and shoot them while they're behind cover. They can't hide from you. Another tip to do with power slash is the fact that it's quite a fat ability. You can see how I've got one hiding behind cover here. If I try to hit them while they're behind cover, you can see that I'm able to do it. The width of it is pretty wide, and so you can catch people behind cover very easily. And here's a final bonus one. Your flying strike actually works for incredible movement. If you cancel it and then jump, you maintain the movement of the actual grapple, allowing you to fly through the air like so, catching people or even escaping. But there you have it, a tip for every character or even multiple for some of them. I hope you learned something, but if you guys have any extra tips or interesting for characters that you main, let us know in the comments. You might just help someone. If you've enjoyed the video, do drop a like. But until next time then, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.